Hey guys, what up? Just giving you a bit of a second day back at work vlog, let you know what happened today. And I'll be honest with you, I've had short days before when I've worked. I remember a couple of times at Burger King, I've worked there and I barely will be there an hour or even 30 minutes. And it's like, okay, you can go home. That's it. Or I'll be getting ready and all of a sudden the phone will ring and it's my job telling me, you don't need to come in today, we're slow, so you can just stay home, whatever. So I've had literally shorter days at times, or short days at work basically, or even shorter days to the point that I didn't have to go in, if you know what I mean, like I just said. And today I could add, the second day at Dollar Tree to that list. Because on Monday, my store manager, the one that hired me, asked me to come in this morning, which I did. So that way I could finish up my training. My training was basically watching a video, if you will, on, as I mentioned before, sexual harassment, in the workplace and how it's, not allowed. And I, totally agree with that. None of that kind of conduct should be in any workplace whatsoever. But I'll tell you this, it's one thing to do that in short intervals, if you will. Like when I used to work at Walmart, we had this kind of stuff as well, but they would be separate. Like they would be their own individual videos, right? It wouldn't be one constant narrative. And, it'd be like, okay, here's a video, then here's the thing, and then here's another video that's based on another kind of harassment. They wouldn't be like connecting together. They wouldn't be like, basically one narrative. Well, in the case of today, that's exactly what I ended up getting. Yeah, I ended up getting basically a video training on sexual harassment with a narrative. Basically, it was the same people they had hired on to act in these roles. And in between, we would have this lady show up on the screen, a green screen, obviously, as well, and talking about, everything that we had just saw, some things we had yet to see, and all that, how certain laws federally and statewide, kind of apply to protecting people from sexual harassment and stuff like that. And and again, what's funny is I've never dealt with any kind of video training on the sexual harassment or any kind of video training, that helps protect employees and stuff from any kind of harassment or bullying or whatever in this manner. I mean, it was basically one big narrative. And like I said, in between you had this lady talking about, the certain kinds of harassment and how you could deal with it from and the laws that from a federal and statewide perspective can help protect you. And what was crazy is all you had to do was either choose autoplay and it would just automatically go to the next video, which was the lady narrating and talking about the protection laws and all that, or it would go back to the narrative related to the subject. And it was just odd for me to see it in this manner. I mean, not that I didn't mind because, if it's part of my training so that I can, get on a register to get to work as quickly as I can, then, so be it. I have nothing against that. But like I said, it's the first for me. It is a first for me because I've done trainings before. I've done trainings either through paperwork. I've done trainings through watching VHSs and things. And it was just weird. Like I said, it was just odd to see it in this manner because never once, even when I worked at Burger King and from Burger King to Hastings to Home Depot briefly to to Food for Less and then to Walmart, if you will. Well, actually, it was actually more of Hastings, Food for Less, Home Depot, Walmart. From all those other times, including my most recent 6.5 years at Walmart in Patterson, Never once did any of the trainings, VHS or computer-wise, if you will, ever have us watch one narrative related to the training. Never once. Never once. It was usually individually sliced up. Like I said, we would have like one section on the racial harassment or the disabled, or picking on somebody because of the disability harassment. We had that stuff. We had the and that would be its own thing, and those would be the own things. They would be the own narratives, nothing connected. They would just be focused on that, and that's it. But then we would also get the sexual one, and that would have like 2 or 3, that were, about, sexual harassment. But again, just like the disability or the race or the religion and all that, they would be their own narrative. They would be their own, self-contained mini stories as to what was going on, period. And what's crazy, again, like I said, is the big difference with this one is it was one big narrative. It was one big story. But with, parts in between where the lady would tell you about the laws and everything that protected you. And what's even interesting about it is it gave you a runtime. And the runtime for these all together, with the lady talking in between and the little, mini stories or mini chapters in the stories, if you will, all of them ran for a total of 76 minutes. 76 minutes. That is saying something. That is saying something. 76 minutes in total. And that's counting this narrative that they did, with the mini parts in between, mini chapters. The lady talking, the lady narrating and basically talking about the laws and everything. As well as you had these little course quizzes in between that you had to answer correctly or best as you could. And then you had the course test, which thankfully, you're supposed to only score 80% at the highest to pass. I mean, 100% is great, but 80% at the most is passable. I was able to score 81%, so that was good. But yeah, combined, it was 76 minutes. And then what's interesting is the assistant manager. The assistant manager tells me, as soon as I get in there and I clock in and all that as soon as I get in, that after I'm done, that I could just go home. So I finished up the whole training, right? Then she tells me, take a 10-minute break because, with some jobs, you're required to have a 15 or 10-minute break, right? Well, if the job gives you an hour lunch, it's a 15-minute break. If the job gives you a half-hour lunch, it's a 10-minute break. Well, you get the idea. Anyway, long story short, she tells me to take a 10-minute break, which I have to clock out for. You have to let them know when you start your break and when you end it. And then she tells me after I do that, after I clock back in from break, to clock out and go home. And that's what I did. That is what I did. I clocked out for break, for my 10-minute break, clocked back in, then I clocked out. Weird, right? Just weird. But then again, it is my second day, and it was kind of slow. I mean, it picked up a tiny bit, but it was kind of slow. Now, all I have to do is see what happens tomorrow. My assumption is 2 things are going to happen. Either my store manager is going to call me up and tell me that she will ask me to come in later in the afternoon so she can get me on a register or get me training on that. Or she's going to ask me to come in on Thursday, to, maybe in the morning to kind of get a feel of the register and everything and have a few hours on it or something like that. One of those 2 things is going to happen. And the reason I say potentially it could be Thursday is because she's got some people coming in tomorrow in the afternoon and in the morning to fill the gaps. And mainly what she's going to need is like towards the weekends and the holidays, is as we get closer to those. But yeah, the second day, like I said, it was just full of training, doing the video training on the sexual harassment, which again was a first for me when it came to learning about it, training on it in the workplace. Because like I said, I've never had in my long history of working at any job, I've never had a an E lesson, a training, a CBL, whatever you want to call it, VHS a computer, or VHS, DVD, digital, whatever you want to call it. Never once have I ever had one that had just one straight up narrative. They were usually separated, self-contained, but they did, hit on all bullet points, in the training. They weren't one narrative, they were just, all self-contained. So it was a first, like I said, it was a first for me, period. It was a first. And then, of course, the other first being, well, it's not really much of a first because I've been there before, but, it's like, get a break and then go home. I think that maybe happened like only a few times at Walmart. Like I went on break and then they told me, okay, you can go. We cleared it, or you know what, we got enough people now if you want to go home, kind of deal. It only happened on a few occasions, as far as I know. And it was, and I enjoyed it. I was fine with it. But this was the first time in a while that, they would, after a training and then after a 10-minute break, they would say clock out. They would usually wait till I came back or anybody else would come back and kind of give us the yes or the no. So, like I said, it was the second day, was better than the second day. I will say this, that as far as the internet goes, was a lot better. It was a lot better. It picked back up. It was a lot better. Now, like I said, all I have to do is wait and see what happens tomorrow and going into Thursday and Friday. But, yeah, what a second day at work. I'll tell you that. What a second day at Dollar Tree, working there. I mean, again, I get, I understand why they did, why certain companies do trainings like this in this manner. But, like I said, always been used to watching a VHS, DVD, or digital training, where the narratives on certain issues that are now allowed in the workplace are separated and self-contained into their own little stories. And that's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. But yeah, it was a good week, and well, not a good week, but it was a good day. The week's just barely starting. What am I saying? But yeah, it was a good day, and just look forward to tomorrow. But what are you guys' thoughts on this? Have you guys, when you started work, have you ever, depending on where you've worked, had to watch video trainings, if you will, on like harassment and all that in the workplace, where it was just one big narrative, and in between you would have somebody talking about the laws that protect you from the harassments? Have you ever had something like that? To watch, for your trainings at your jobs? Because like I said, it was the first for me, ever, as far as I know. But have you guys? Let me know in the comments in the live chat during the premiere. Check out the Teespring store for any Christmas ideas, especially with Christmas around the corner. Also check me out at BW Roses on Vimeo for to find content there. Also check me out at BW Roses Discussions on all your favorite audio podcast locations. I am near 300 podcasts, so that's upcoming. As well as if you're listening on Anchor.fm, listener support has been activated if you want to support me there. Also check me out at patreon.com/BWRoses to support me at the $1 or $3 tier. Also check me out at Venmo at Brian-Walmer-2. So until next time, guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Have you guys ever experienced this when you've been trained for a job through, learning about, keeping harassment out of the workplace? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the live chat, and I'm out.